Okay, thought I had pretty good Wi-Fi in here, but apparently not, so I'll just roll with it. This lighting looked a lot better before I started recording, but again, I'll just roll with it. Hey everybody, good morning. This is Kenya with 40 Entrepreneur Drive. I'm coming to you wanting to rant and rave, but it's not actually going to be that kind of video. I really did want to come on here and complain a little bit. And I was gonna look up some information to back up my I was gonna bring some backup information, but after doing some research and reading, I'm actually deflated and defeated on what I was gonna say. So what am I talking about? I work in a factory/warehouse. I don't reveal exactly where I work for privacy reasons and to protect my job. Employers, if you don't know, employers can look on social media nowadays and use things against you for discipline or termination. So I try to be careful with how I present myself. But let's just say I do work in a factory/warehouse type environment. It's very prominent in the United States. And the products and services that we produce are in high demand, and they're in high demand so much that there's a lot of overtime required to produce these services and goods, and not offered. When I say required, I don't mean that there's a lot of overtime available if you choose to work it, although that is also true, but there's just a lot of overtime required, as in 6 days a week. And when we started working this schedule several years ago, I thought it was extremely unfair and illegal. And the way things are set up, you are required to work the hours that are scheduled for you, but you can request for the extra day of overtime, day number 6. You can request not to have to be able to work that day. You don't use it as a vacation day. You just request to have the day off, and you can have it approved or not approved. And so I'm checking my emails, and I'm looking at my emails. I apply for every weekend off. I believe in a 2-day weekend. That's what I grew up knowing was what you do. You work 40 hours, more if you want to, and then you take a 2-day weekend. You spend time with your family, you catch up with your chores, you do whatever you want to do as a hobby or sport. But since I've been working here, it's the last couple of years. That's just not the norm. So I'm checking my email because we're allowed to, not allowed to, but we submit our request online. And I'm looking at it, and it says, your request for the day off on March 23rd, 2019 was rejected. And if I look at my other email from last week, it said the same thing, because I didn't want to work this Saturday, which was rejected. I did have last Saturday off, so that was pretty cool, because that was the day that I had my garage sale. I wouldn't have been able to do it at all if I didn't have that day off. So anyways, that's what pissed me off about 45 minutes ago when I was checking my email. I'm like, how long is this going to go on? And I've got two sides of a debate here. One, mandatory overtime in my mind is wrong. It's not right. It should be illegal, right? But then on the other hand, it always goes back to the same thing of being blessed to have a job, being thankful that you have work available, being content with overtime that's available so that you can make as much money to take care of yourself and your family, right? So that's kind of where I am, and that's the funky mood that usually, the cloud that's usually over me is just, if it was available to work, it'd be one thing, but being forced to work it is another thing. So I had my notes, and I was going to take down some notes. Like I said, I came here ready to rant and rave and, just talk about how wrong it is to make people forced to work. But actually, if you look it up on the Department of Labor's website, which is dol.gov, and also I was actually reading a USA Today article before then. I couldn't find that same article, but it's on the government website. It's actually not illegal for your employer. I'm talking about if you're working in the United States. It's not illegal at all for your employer to require you to work overtime. The only caveat about that is for most places, I think you have to be paid time and a half. Anything over 40 hours is time and a half. But to actually schedule the overtime, like your employer in the United States can legally work you 7 days a week. Legally, they can do that. But most don't because they're really just protecting their own workforce and labor and manpower because they know that their employees are going to be burned out. So really, when you get a vacation, whether it's paid or unpaid, that's your employer being nice. That's them doing it not out of the goodness of their heart, but because it's good business. But in my situation, it's better business to work as many hours as possible because, again, we have a hot product and service. And so in order to get the units out to the customers, which is all about business, the hours have to be worked. And it sucks. It really, really sucks. I'm speaking from the point of a single parent who does not have time with her family, doesn't have family around to pick up the slack for when I'm not there, and it's tough. It's really, really, really tough. I've got a 21-year-old son who was about 3 years old when I was hired, and so pretty much his entire youth and childhood was of not seeing me because I was here working, which means I was able to provide things for him monetarily, but I really actually wasn't able to do things with him or for him. So he didn't join like sports teams because I wasn't available to take him to the different practices. He wasn't able to do a lot of things with me there by his side. And because I was always working this kind of late night shift or overnight shift, most of the times that he had things going on in the daytime, I missed out because I had to sleep, or I overslept, or I just wasn't able to make it. So I missed out on a lot with my son, and we've had some rough times because of that. I mean, if you're not a parent to your child, a lot can happen. So now I've got my 12-year-old daughter, and my hours are slightly different than with my son. I'm still working pretty much late evenings, overnight, and I try my best to sleep while she's in school so that I can be up while she's awake. But now, in this chapter of my life, I'm trying to start a business, and I'm trying to do something to be self-sufficient with myself. So I'm still not there. I'm there, but I'm not there. So I'm home, but I'm not present, and that sucks. And it really sucks when I'm working 6 days a week. So I'm applying for this. I'm requesting to not have to work this extra day, but sometimes it's approved, sometimes it's not. But again, according to the Department of Labor, it is completely legal. If they wanted to work me and my coworkers 7 days a week, they could. There's nothing saying that they can't do that. And that's paid or otherwise, paid or unpaid, because I'm thinking, okay, I'm not even trying to use a paid vacation day. Just don't pay me. I just don't want to be here. I want to be outside of this environment and live my life. So paid or unpaid, it's completely legal. Then on the USA Today site that I was looking up, I'll see if I can look it back up, and I'll link that article in the description. But people had like a list of questions like, well, what's the difference between PTO and vacation time? What's the difference between being excused and PTO? What if the vacation time is offered but you can't actually take it because of manpower issues, which is sort of kind of my issues. Like, you have the ability to take the day off if they can approve you. So, but this person was asking, what if you actually have time to take it but they can't schedule it in? And the answer was, just try to work it out with HR. Like, if you have vacation available, but you can't actually take it, again, that's perfectly legal. And again, companies really just offer it to prevent employee burnout. they don't have to do it. And the reason why I want to rant and rave is because I'm comparing myself to our European counterparts. And if you don't already know, and this is in the USA Today article too. The top countries for vacation time off from work are France, Spain, Sweden, and Finland. And these countries have these countries actually require the companies to legally, by law, give their employees 4 weeks of paid vacation time a year. France gets 4 weeks paid vacation time a year. Spain gets paid 4 weeks paid vacation time a year. Sweden gets 25 days a year. I wrote down Finland, but for some reason I didn't write down the actual days. And then there's other countries where they're just really worker friendly and try to work around getting as much production value out of their employees with as little actual production time as possible. So that's really cool. But on the flip side of that, if you go to, I don't think I wrote it down. On the flip side of that, which is what actually started to humble me a little bit, which I knew this, but when you look it up and read it, it makes a difference. So if you go to a website called ethicaltrade.org, it will tell you the top 10 worst countries for worker rights. And I won't go through the whole thing, but I mean, between the Middle East and North Africa, saying that they are the worst for the denial of basic worker rights. Then there's the conflict that's actually going on in those countries aside from the work environment. The ability to actually find decent jobs. They're talking about Bangladesh, Colombia, Egypt, Guatemala, Kazakhstan, the Philippines, Qatar, South Korea, Turkey, United Arab Emirates, the Philippines, the top 10 worst ranking for worker rights. So, I mean, there's a long, well, I can't show you that way. This is the website, what the website looks like. And there's a long article. Long article about, just the things that we here in the United States, myself included, take for granted as far as being able to actually provide for your family. It is humbling, but at the same time, I still feel like I'm right in the middle. I'm humbled and I'm grateful and I'm content. I have a guaranteed job that I can come to every day, that I can be employed with, that I can make enough money to not just pay for the basics for my family, but the basics, some fun stuff, even though I'm not always physically there to actually participate, fun stuff, and things that actually are considered a luxury. Now, I don't have a luxury car, I don't have a luxury home, I don't have luxury furniture or things like that, but comparatively speaking, our luxuries, they're beyond the basics. But I'm still bummed out. So this week will be a 6-day work week, and next week will be a 6-day work week, and I will just keep pushing through as I have been for the last several years to maintain my home life, maintain my sanity, maintain my children and what little bit of parenting I have left with my daughter. My son's my son's an adult, but I'm still parenting him in a lot of ways as an adult child. I'm parenting him. He's still at home, so I'm an influence in his life. But I'm just tired of not being there, and I'm tired of being tired. I'm tired of being physically tired. So if you have ever worked in a manufacturing and or warehouse and or factory facility, you know how tiring it could be. It takes it puts a lot of wear and tear on your body. It's usually a high pressure environment, so you're mentally stressed. I am thankful. I'm really, really thankful. I'm thankful that I have the income and the benefits that I have, that I can take care of my family. And in this chapter of my life where I am trying to develop myself as an entrepreneur, I'm thankful and content and thankful that I can take part of this income and funnel it into the dream that I want to have as my life. More than anything, I want freedom and control of my time, which I don't have right now. I have freedom in finances to a point. I have finances and then freedom. I would really like to have freedom and then finances. I'm not at that point. I don't have a huge amount of debt over my head. I do have my house, which I bought 2.5 years ago. I have a 2014 vehicle that is not even halfway paid off. I have very, very little student loan. I've got a little bit of personal debt from actually unnecessary debt from me trying to decorate my house. When I first moved in, about a year later, I had my family come down for a belated housewarming, and I unnecessarily bought like $8,000 worth of furniture and decoration and different like remodeling and renovation items that I shouldn't have done that, but so I'm still paying that off. But other than that, I don't really have a lot of debt over my head, so I'm living a fairly comfortable life, and that's something that I try to maintain being content over. But when I think about man, just the fact that I feel forced, like I said, having overtime available is a great thing. If you have bills, if you have things you want to buy, if you have vacations you want to go on, if you have kids you want to put through school or are putting through school or want private school, different things for your life, it's great when you want it. But when you don't want it, it just feels forced. I've heard the term wage slave, and to me that's kind of controversial. Me being a descendant of people who were held in this country as slaves, for me that's a controversial term, but I kind of feel it too, because feeling trapped is not a good feeling. If I had some type of marketable skills, that would be different, that I could just decide, hey, I want to do something different with my life, I want to go and do something else, and I could make the similar amount of money, but I don't. A lot of warehouse jobs do not require higher learning, and although I did graduate from high school and took some college courses, I don't have a degree. So I am where I am, and this is where I'm going to be until I get to where I am, until I get to where I want to be. So just keep pushing on and keep pushing through, and I'm going to just accept how I'm feeling right now, which is pissed off. The feeling's going to go away. The day is going to come and go. I'm going to work it. I'm going to go home and have one day off, and then I'm going to start it all over again, because that's the way it is right now. But that's it. That's my very mild-mannered rant. I really want to come on here and be like, this is wrong, and this is why it's wrong, and this website says this, and I'm going to fight. No, they are within their rights, and I'm within my rights, so I have a right to complain, and that's about it. But what's the point of complaining when nothing comes of it? So sometimes it's better not to complain and just take things for what they are. It's just fuel. That's all it is. The emotions that I'm feeling, the frustration and anger that I'm feeling, is just fuel. And I choose to use this fuel to push me in my continued endeavors to build my business, grow my business, scale my business, and one day be able to run my own business and not be run by a business. So that's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the likes that you put on there. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the subs. Thanks for sharing. And I'll catch you guys on the next round.